Kavya,
Present, Miss.
Nachiket, Neeraj. Neeraj is there. Rangit,
Present, Miss.
Vaishnav,
Present, Miss.
Vaishnav,
Present, Miss.
Anjali,
Present, Miss.
and Shruti.
Present, Miss.
Neeraj is there. Okay. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
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 Now, Karthik, just summarize what we have learned yesterday. Karthik, Karthik is there or not?
Okay.
Yeah, tell what we have learned yesterday's class.
Network layering forward and
Forwarding and
routing.
routing. These are the two main responsibilities of network layer. One is routing and the another one is forwarding. Now, what is the difference between these two, forwarding and routing? What is routing?
Uh,
What is routing? And what is forwarding? അറിയാമോ? Kavya, you can answer.
Routing means knowing the location of other routers.
Yeah. You want to know
Forwarding means
where all the routers are located and to which networks you are connected, and also how routing tables are created, right? And what is forwarding?
mm, placing the packet in the route to the destination.
What happens when a packet arrives? What decisions you have to take it? That is nothing but the forwarding process. Now you have learned about several forwarding techniques, because if you want to reduce the contents of routing table, normally I have told you, if a host wants to send a packet or a router is receiving a packet for forwarding, what it will do is it will look into its routing table and it will route to the final destination. So in that case, if you are considering an internet network, lot of entities, I mean, lot of entries is needed in the routing table. So in order to reduce that, in order to reduce the contents of routing table, I have told you about three different types of forwarding techniques. Now, what are the three different types of forwarding techniques? Jyotish. Jyotish is there? Amaya is there?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, tell which are the forwarding techniques.
Next hope method,
Yeah, one is the next hope method,
network specific method, default method.
and the default method. These are the three methods that we were seeing yesterday in order to reduce the contents of the routing table. Now today we will be learning more about routing table. What are the different fields in that routing table? Now I have told you about the forwarding process. Forwarding process, assume you are having your host as well as your router, it make use of classless addressing. Now you should know what is the difference between classful addressing and classless addressing. Classful addressing means you have got specific classes. Now IP address is belonging to specific classes. But in classless addressing, you have a variable size of addresses, or the total number of addresses is not fixed in a particular class. It is being variable. Okay, so assume your host and routers, they make use of classless addressing. So in classless addressing, what is required is the routing table needs to have one row of information. Whenever you are considering a block, what it should have is, it should have one row of information. Now, usually the table, how we will be searching is, it is based on the network address. Now, I have told you when I was explaining classless addressing, the first address is always the network address. Now, you will be having the destination address also where your packet should be delivered, but the destination address is not giving any clue about the network address. So what is the major requirement in that? You require a mask there. So the mask, in order to solve that, in order to identify where your network is, or in order to identify the network address, you require a mask there. And that will be included in the routing table. Okay, so you can just see a figure where your okay, this is just a figure where what are the contents present in a routing table. You will have the mask value, you will have the network address, you will have the next hop address, and you will have the interface. So what I told is, assume you are making use of a classless addressing. So classless addressing, the routing table, you should have some information. So you won't be able to find, so that you will have the destination where the packet has to be delivered. But the destination address is not giving information about the network address. So in order to obtain the network address, the mask is required. So that is included in the routing table. Okay, now a host or a router, it is having a routing table with an entry for each destination. Now this routing table can be of two types. I'm telling about the routing table. It can be of two types. One is static routing table and another one is the dynamic routing table. Now, what is the difference between these two? A routing table is of two types. One is the static routing table and another one is the dynamic routing table. Now, what is the difference? When you are considering a static routing table, it contains information that is entered manually. Already we have seen static IP, etc., dynamic IP and all, right? So static means the information is entered in a manual manner. So what the administrator will do? The administrator enters the route to each destination into the table, right? So you cannot update it automatically whenever you are having a change in the internet. So suppose if something happens, you are not finding the route, or if a link fails. So that cannot be updated automatically in case of the static routing table. So what is the main thing is, it should be manually altered by the administrator. So such type of routing table, they are used in small internet that does not change very often. Okay, so that is the first type of routing table, that is the static routing table. So static routing table, I have told you the details, whatever details are present, they are entered manually by the network administrator. So you cannot alter it in an automatic manner. Everything, whatever alteration has to be done, it should be entered in a manual manner. Okay, so usually small internets make use of, which does not change much, they make use of this static routing table. Okay, now the second type of routing table is called as the dynamic routing table. Dynamic means the one which you can change it automatically. It is updated periodically using one of the routing protocols. You will be studying about the routing protocols in 1 or 2 hours. So based on the routing protocols, your routing table gets updated periodically. So if you have a change in the internet, if something happens to the router, or if there is a break in the link, so the dynamic routing protocols updates everything in the table automatically. So the big internets, they make use of this dynamic routing table. Okay, so it should be updated, or if you want to deliver the packet in an efficient manner, then the routing table needs to be updated dynamically, right? So that is the difference between static routing table and dynamic routing table. Okay, now what are the different fields in this routing table that we will see? So routing table, the main contents are you are having a mask, you are having network address, you are having the next hop address, and you are having the interface. Now mainly you have got two types of routing table. One is static, the other one is dynamic. So static, the one which everything is entered in a manually, and dynamic, the one which it is done in an automatic manner. Okay, now when you are considering the routing table for a classless addressing, now what is the minimum requirement you need is it must contain at least 4 columns in a routing table. You should have minimum of 4 columns. But today's router, if you are considering today's router, you can have more than that 4 columns. That everything it is determined by the vendor. Maybe more columns will be there, maybe little less than that. So everything it is vendor dependent. Okay, now what are the common fields in the routing table? Other than the minimum 4 columns, you have got other columns also like flags, reference count, and the use. So these are the common fields in a routing table. So first one is the mask field. You know what is the importance of mask. Mask is, defines, if you want to enter into a particular network, you require a mask. So that is specified in the routing table, right? Now the next field is the network address. So this field defines the network address to which the packet is finally delivered. You should have a destination address. First, in order to deliver it to the particular host, what you have to do is you have to reach the network first, right? And that is denoted in that network address field. So network address, it defines the packet, where the packet should be finally delivered, to which network it should be forwarded. Okay. Now, the third field is the next hop address. Next hop address is, it is nothing but it is a path. See, I have told you, if you are considering your source host and the destination host, maybe they will be connected through several physical networks. So many routers will be there. So which is the nearest router? So that is the meaning of next hop. So once, if it is router A and you have router B, if my packet has reached router A, I have to deliver it to router B. So that is the next hop. So that will be displayed in that field. Okay. So it defines the address of the next hop router to which the packet is delivered. Okay. Now the fourth field is the interface field. That shows the name of the interface. Now the fifth field is the flag field. Now, you can have 5 different flags. One is the up flag. Up flag, in short, you will denote it as U. Second field is the gateway flag. Gateway flag, in short, you will denote it as G. Now, third is host specific, H, and fifth one is added by redirection, that is D. The fourth one is added by redirection, and fifth one is modified by redirection. So these are the 5 different fields of flags. Now what is that up flag denotes? That's letter U. So that U flag indicates whether your router is up or running. If that flag is not present, you should understand that something has happened to that router. The router is down. So the packet cannot be forwarded and it should be discarded. Okay, so that is the first flag field, that is U. U denotes, indicates that whether the router is functioning or not. If that flag is not, if the value of that field is not present, then you should understand that the router is down. Now the second flag field is, I have told it as the gateway. Gateway G flag means the destination is in another network. It is not compulsory that your destination belongs to the same network itself as that of the host. It may be in a different network. So G flag means the destination is in another network. So the packet should be delivered to the next hop router for delivery. Right? Now, if that G flag is missing, it means that the destination is within the network. So you can have two different types of delivery here. One is indirect delivery and the other one is direct delivery. Understand the terms, direct delivery and the other one is indirect delivery. Indirect means the destination is not belonging to the same network. The packet is delivered to the next hop router in order to reach the destination. Now, direct delivery means the destination is belonging to the same network as that of the host. So that G field indicates whether the destination is in the same network or in the different network. Okay, so I have told you the first two flag fields. One is the U up flag field and the second one is the gateway or the G flag. Now the third field is the host specific or H field. So H field indicates that the entry in the network address field is the host specific address. If you have the host specific address, that will be denoted. Now, if that field is missing, now what it means that it contains only the network address of the destination. If the host address is not specified, then that value will be blank. That field will be blank. So it should be assumed that the address denotes only the network address of the destination. Right? Now the fourth field is the D. D means added by redirection. So that field indicates that the routing information has been added to the host routing table by a redirection message from the ICMP. Last class, we have learned about ICMP, Internet Control Management Protocol. There I have told you two types of messages you have got, error reporting messages and the query messages. And also I have told you the different types of error message. So the one is the redirection message. Okay, so that is specified here in that D field. So this D flag indicates that the routing information for the destination is added to the host routing table by a redirection message from the ICMP protocol. Now the last field is modified by redirection. That is nothing but capital letter M. That M flag indicates that the routing information has been modified by a redirection message from ICMP. Okay, so you have got 5 different flag fields in a routing table. The first one is up flag, second is gateway, third is host specific, fourth is added by redirection, and fifth is modified by redirection. So you just understand what is the function of each flag. Okay, now the other field that is present in a routing table is the reference count. Reference count means it it denotes the number of users of this route at that particular moment. See, if 5 people are using the same router to reach the same host at the same time, so what is the value of that column is, it will be 5. Okay, so that is the reference count. Reference count, that field gives the number of users of the route of who are making that route at a particular moment. Now the last field is called the use. Use field shows it the number of packets transmitted through this router for the corresponding destination. How many packets you have to transmit. So that is denoted in that use field. Okay, so just understand what are the contents in fields in a routing table. Actually, the number of fields, it varies. I have told you it is vendor dependent. So generally, the common fields in a routing table, you have got these many fields. The first 4 is must. The minimum 4 column is must. That is nothing but the mask, network address, next hop address, and the interface. Now, other than that 4 column fields, you have got flag field, reference count, and the use field. Okay, so what I have told up to now is about the routing table. Routing table, you can have 2 types. One is the static routing table, the other one is the dynamic routing table. And these are the fields that are present in a routing table. Okay. Understood what is the routing table, what are the 2 types, and what are the common fields in the routing table? Yes or no? Rankit? Neeraj is there?
Miss.
Understood. What is routing table? What are the fields in a routing table? Okay. Neeraj is there? No. Okay. Now the next topic, what you are going to see is routing algorithms. Now what is the importance of routing algorithms? I have told you one of the major function of network layer is routing. Now you want to deliver your packet to the destination. That is the ultimate aim for us, right? Now that packet, every packet is forwarded according to a route that is decided by the network layer. So if you want to deliver your packet from your source host to the destination host, you have to cross through the route, and that is decided which route to select. That is determined by the network layer. Now, how does the network layer can decide which is the correct route to every possible destination in the network? You are having a source part, you are having a destination part. You can have several paths in order to reach the destination. Now, how will you determine which is the correct route? Which path you have to select in order to reach your destination? So there comes the importance of routing algorithm. So routing algorithm is the part of a network layer software that is responsible for deciding which output line has to be selected or the incoming packet should be transmitted. Okay, so what is the major requirement is whenever a router is receiving a packet for forwarding, it should deliver that packet within the minimum possible time. So what is the requirement is the routing algorithm needs to be simple in order to determine the entire route. So it should not get, the network should not get congested, or you should not give burden to the network, right? So It is the routing algorithms means it should be very simple. Now, which path you have to select is that is based on the lowest cost. So the lowest cost path is considered the best. Now you might be knowing the cost of each link. Now the router's function is to find out which is the optimal combination for any transmission. Which path, which is the optimum path that I have to select. Now you have got several routing algorithms for making these calculations. That is the thing that you are going to study now. What are the different types of routing protocols or routing algorithms? So routing algorithm, what is its importance is for deciding which output line and incoming packet should be selected or should be transmitted on. You should reach your destination with minimum possible time. So the routing algorithm, I mean, you should not give much burden to the network by adding so many requirements. So the main thing is the one with lowest cost is considered the best. So you will have different, I have told you have source, you have destination, you have multiple paths in order to reach the destination. Out of the multiple path, which is the minimum, which path requires minimum time to reach your destination. And there comes the importance of routing algorithms. Okay. Now, before seeing that two specific algorithms, we will just see what is routing protocols, unicast routing protocols. I have told you routing table, it can be of static type or dynamic type. Static means the one with manual entries. A dynamic one is the one which is updated automatically whenever you are having a change in the internet. So a routing protocol is a combination of rules and procedures that lets the routers in the internet inform each other of changes. Understanding? Routing protocol means you are forming some rules and procedures so that each router will follow that, and whenever a change occurs, that is getting updated in the routing table. So I have told routing table, when I was discussing about routing table, that everything is based upon the routing protocols, right? So whenever a router receives a packet from a network, it has to pass through another network also. So it should know the decision, how it has to be passed. I have told you the optimization comes into picture. You will have several paths. You have to identify which is the optimum pathway. Out of the available pathways, which is the optimum pathway. Now, how to identify is one approach is you have to assign a cost for passing through a network. Now, the cost is called it as a metric. The cost is called a metric. Now, the metric, whatever cost is assigned to each network, that is depending upon the routing protocol. Right? Now you have got several types of routing protocols. Out of that, the first one is called it as the routing information protocol. Later you will be studying about 3 different types of routing protocols. Now understand that the first type of protocol, routing protocol, is the routing information protocol. So routing information protocol, what it does is it will treat all the network as equal. Okay, so it is what the cost of passing through the network will be the same. It is fixed that in routing information protocol, the hop count is 1. So the meaning is if you want to deliver your packet and if it has to cross some 5 networks in order to reach your destination, now the total cost will be 5. You will have 5 hop counts in order to reach your destination. Okay, so that is the base of this routing information protocol. They are treating all the network as equal, and also the cost of each path will be equal to 1. Okay, now you have got another type of protocols also. One is called it as Ospf. Ospf means Open Shortest Path First. Here they are not assigning the cost of each path is 1. They are framing a policy. The policy you are depending upon the type of service. So based on that, they are assigning the cost of the path. Right? Now the other protocol, one more protocol you have got, that is called it as BGP, that is Border Gateway Protocol. There also you are framing some policy that is set by the administrator, and they will be making use of that policy. They will determine which path to be chosen. Now you just understand you can have 3 different types of routing protocols: RIP, OSPF, and BGP. Later in 1 or 2 classes, you will be studying about that protocol in detail. Okay, now today's internet, it is not able to, I mean, you know, your network is very large. So one routing protocol is not able to handle the task of updating the routing tables. So what is done is your internet network, it is divided it into autonomous system. Right? Since a simple routing protocol is not able to handle the whole internet network. Now, what concept has come is the internet is divided it into autonomous system. Now, what is the meaning of autonomous? Autonomous means you can have a collection of networks there which is owned by a single organization, or which is under the authority of single administration. Your internet is divided it into autonomous system. Autonomous means it is a group of network, or you can call it as a collection of network under the authority of a single administration. Right? Now, you can have routing in 2 ways in autonomous system. Now, first one is inside the autonomous system, you can have one form of routing that is called it as internal routing, and routing between autonomous system, you can call it as the external routing. Okay, so that is the 2 important types of routing protocols. I have told you, you have got internal routing, you can call it as intra-domain routing, and you have got external routing that is called it as inter-domain routing. So routing inside the autonomous system is called intra-domain routing. And you can have 2 different types of protocols based on that. One is distance vector and the other one is link state. Very, very important, distance vector and link state. Okay, now routing between the autonomous system is referred as inter-domain routing. And you have got a protocol based on that is called it as the BGP is based on is an implementation of that, and that protocol or the algorithm, you can call it as the path vector algorithm. Now in your syllabus, you have to study the first intra-domain routing protocols, that is the distance vector and the link state. Now the protocol that comes I have told you about 3 different protocols also: RIP, OSPF, and BGP. So RIP is nothing but it is an implementation of distance vector routing algorithm. OSPF is an implementation of link state routing algorithm, and BGP is based on path vector algorithm. Okay, so what I have discussed in today's class is about the routing table. Right? I have told you 2 different types of routing table you have got. One is the static routing table. The other one is the dynamic routing table. So static means that all the entries are done manually. So whenever you are having a change, you cannot update it in automatic fashion. Everything should be manually altered by the administrator. So such type of routing tables, they are used in small internets. Okay, so that is the first one. Now the second one, what I have told is the dynamic routing table. Dynamic means the one is updated periodically based on the routing protocols like RIP, OSPF and BGP. So if you have any change in the internet network like a link breakage or a router shutdown, now what it is means everything, the routing protocol will be updating it in the table. Okay, and usually the dynamic routing protocol is used in big internet. Okay, now after that, what I have told is about the different fields in the routing table. So if your host or the router, if they make use of classless addressing, I have told you minimum 4 columns is a must in the routing table. Now, what are the 4 columns? You have the network address, you have the next hop address, you have the mask value, as well as the destination address or the interface. Right? Now, based on that, now the importance of mask is you have the destination address with you, but with the destination address, you won't be able to identify the network address. So you require a mask for an entry to that. So there's a very massive field. So the second field is called the network address. The third field is the next hop address, and the last is the interface. These are the minimum 4 columns required in a routing table in classless addressing. Now you can add another fields also depending upon the vendor. Now the common field, what I told is you have got again 3 more fields like the flag field, the reference count and the use. So flag field, you can have 5 different types of flags like up flag, gateway, host specific, added by redirection and modified by redirection. So based upon the values, you will be able to identify whether it is the router is running or whether it is belonging to the same network or a different network, whether the host specific address is there or the network address is only there, or whether it is a redirection message from the IC. Right? Now, after that, I have told you about the importance of routing algorithm. Now, routing algorithm, its importance is deciding which output line should be selected. Right? Now, the main important thing is you have to reach your destination with minimum possible time. Okay? And less cost you have to maintain. That is, the path, how you have to select is based on the less cost. Okay, that is called it as optimization. Now I have told you every internet, internet is considered as an autonomous system. You can have different types of routing protocols. One is intra-domain and the another one is inter-domain. So inside the autonomous system, you can call it as intra-domain or internal routing. And between the autonomous system, you can call it as inter-domain or external routing. Now, the 2 important types of intra-domain routing is the distance vector and the link state. That you will be studying it in your next class. Okay. So, go through the textbook today itself, and those who have scored less than 40 in series exam, less than 40, that is between to 25, I think the minimum mark is 27, I feel. So less than 40, whichever questions you have made mistake, you have to write it in and submit before 27th of October. I've given you ample time. Identify the questions, what you have made wrong, and write it. After studying, you write it without just copying it and writing. I don't want that. Just study the things, then you write it and submit it. Okay.